Hi guys, Gilly Hunt here with a little look at how to make a gift bag. I've got here a little selection of things, goodies that I'm going to put together with my gift bag, but I thought with Easter, Mother's Day and any number of birthdays coming up, it was time we had a little gift bag to offer you. So here's the gift bag. I've made this particular one with two little ribbon handles, and then I've popped some of the same ribbon, there we go, look, just tucked it inside underneath here. I've just tucked it inside there and run them over the top, and I've popped on some rather pretty little embellishments. These are die cuts and you'll find them in the catalogue, and also if you look really carefully, it's just a little beautiful little embellishment detail, the little flower and the tiny little sparkly gem. So that's my bag. I've made myself some little Hershey nugget chocolates. There's the same little detail on the top to make it rather pretty, and I've just wrapped them in the same paper. So that's going to go in there along with a rather nice little pair of earrings that I've made, which says happy birthday, because I think this is going to go for a birthday, and where I've poked them through to the back, I've just put a little piece over the back just to cover that up. So that goes in too. Oops. So that goes in too. And I've then got a very pretty little card made with our lovely new stamp, which is Beautiful Moments, and just some very simple watercolour pencil work. So isn't that a really pretty little gift to give to someone? So I thought I'd show you how to make this bag, and I'm going to show you with a completely different look. So this is quite feminine and pretty and rather romantic feel to it. So I thought we'd actually make one with a man in mind, and with a golfing theme, and then after that I've got a couple of other bags to show you afterwards, just to give you some inspiration too. So this is your inspiration, and this is how you make it. So the first thing we're going to do is, because I said it was the golfing theme, I guess it has to be this lovely paper. This is a wonderful paper that we have, which is with the golfing theme. Each piece is double-sided, as is normal for our designer papers, and one side has either a plaid or a rather lovely tartan actually. And I must say, I thought when I saw these lovely plaids and tartans, I can imagine these being really rather lovely for Christmas too. So if I have any left over, I can see me using some of these lovely tartans at Christmas time. But on the other side of each one are golf carts and golf buggies and bags of golf clubs and flags and golf balls, etc. And also, interestingly, there is one sheet which is this really rather fabulous harlequin pattern on one side, but on the other side it actually has some little sketch drawings, and we're going to make use of that today. So I'm going to take out a piece of the which is it, that one. Sorry, just bear with me. I'm coming back, I promise you. Just was trying to put those papers down and they wouldn't go. So I'm going to take this piece of paper, which is probably the most ordinary of all of the ones in the selection, but I rather like it because it's got a lovely simple grey, real sort of reminds me of the sort of trousers that my father used to wear when he played golf, or the socks you wear. Those Argyle, I think they're called, aren't they? Socks? Anyway, here's what we're going to use, and then we're going to use some of the other bits and pieces as well. So the first job we're going to do, and we're going to make this bag without using tools. So we're going to use just ourselves and the piece of paper, because I wanted to prove that you could make this without having loads and loads of kit. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to double check. This doesn't matter whether it's this way up or that way up or whichever way up, it doesn't really matter. However, the other side has quite strong pictures on of golf clubs and golf balls. And so whichever, although we're having this on the inside, I would like it to be the right way up. So I've got to make sure that I know this is the top and this is the bottom. So I need to know top, bottom. So let's think about the top first. So the first thing we're going to do is we've got this with the colour that we want the bag to be on the bottom. And we're going to just turn over approximately an inch. Okay. Now, as I say, you could do this on a scoreboard, you'd get beautiful results and what have you. But I honestly want you to show you that this can be done just like this, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is turn over that top, okay? Now, we now know that this is, the other side is the bottom, and we're going to turn over the bottom. But before I do that, I want to think, how wide do I want the base to be? So let's go back to the one we had before. So this is the one that I showed you earlier. How wide do I want that base to be, and how wide do I want the sides? Because the sides and the base are going to be the same, and I want them to be approximately 2 inches. So I've made myself a little piece of card which is approximately 2 inches. It's not exact, I just cut a slice about the width I wanted. And all that's going to be is a guide for the base. Let's have it right way up. Guide for the base and the sides, because I want them to be the same. So first of all, we're going to use that as our guide. And it is only that, a guide. Okay. So I used it just as a rough guide for that. Okay. So we've now turned down the top about 3/4 an inch, doesn't matter how big or how small. And we've turned this down by the amount of the guide, okay? And now we're going to turn it round and we're going to open those up. So they're just creased. And now we're going to fold this over. And I've just done this because it was quite hard to do it under the camera, so I'd already done this. But you're going to fold it over, leaving a small piece at the top. Okay, because we need what I'm going to call a rollover amount. So that's my rollover amount, and all I've done is roll that over the top of that. Okay. And let's just give that a good push. Okay, and now that's going to go underneath like that. And we're going to stick that first. So along that rollover amount, we're going to stick a piece of tear tape from the very top to the bottom. Oh, come on, end. There we go. And then we're going to flap this back over and very tidily tuck that together. And we've now got really what is essentially a tube. We've got a little tube now, okay? Now, here's where we need to think carefully, because what we need is that's the bottom, that's the wide bit, that's the bottom. And we've got our little guide, so I'm going to bring the guide back, because what we need to do now is we need to get the side done. And all we're going to do is to very gently, so we've put it on its end like that, like a tube. There's the tube bit, okay? And we're going to use that as our guide from the line that we have, and we're just going to push it down. We're going to push it down until that is the same as the guide. And we're going to push it down both sides, okay? And that's now given us, it's no longer a tube now, it's a square tube. Okay, so instead of being a rounded tube, it's now a square tube. Okay, we can tuck the little top one in. And that, when I just go around and make sure it's tucked in tidily, that is now the top of the bag. Now it's up to you. You can either glue that down if you want to. I quite like it left plain. And then we're going to pinch, and this is quite hard to show you because of the size of the box. You're going to put your fingers at the halfway point, and you're going to push one finger at the front and one finger at the thumb at the front, finger at the back, but keeping those little push sides in. You're going to gradually press it in until it just makes that top. Okay, and that's now the top of your bag. Now this is the base, so we're going back to the bottom now, and all we're going to do is we're going to cut. And I haven't got my lovely scissors here. Where have I put them? Oh no, oh no, I'm going to have to use a grotty pair. Never mind. I think I've got my my smart, lovely snips. I think I've put them into my bag ready for class tomorrow. So sorry about the horrible old scissors, but we'll try our best with them. So now what we're going to do is each of these lines here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So each of the corners, we're going to cut up to the little point. Okay. And you know, I do miss the snips because these are nowhere near as accurate at getting right into that corner, so you'll have to forgive me if it's not quite spot on. Okay, now each of the little short sides I'm going to just take, can you see, a little snippy triangle on each side. And the reason we do that is we really do not want, so back to the other short side, the reason we do that is because we really don't want those little side pieces to show. We want them to be tucked nice and neatly inside. Okay, and now I'm going to just double check, because sometimes you will have one, here it is, where that little edge has been folded over. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to neaten it up a bit because it is sticking out a tiny bit. That's going to be my inside one. Then I'm going to put my 2 flaps here, and then I'm going to have the neatest, tidiest one on the outside. Okay, so let's stick those down. I'm going to add a little bit of wet glue here because that just gives me a bit of wriggle room if I want to. So I'm going to put a little bit of wet glue on the side flap, and the same here. Okay, so that hides those 2 flaps inside, and it means that from the inside we've got that nice flat one. I don't know whether you can see right down to the bottom. Ooh, can we? I don't know. I think it's probably too dark. But it does mean we've got the nice flat one on the inside, and we've now got a flat one also on the outside, and we need to go right onto the very edge of this. Don't need loads and loads, but we do want it right on the very edge, because then it absolutely neatly finishes it. And I am just also going to just put a tiny bit there to make sure that if there's any little piece that doesn't quite slither down, okay, I'm going to squeeze it together and stick it down flat. Okay, and I'm going to run my finger along that edge, and then I'm just going to put my hand inside. And if your hand's bigger than mine, I've got little tiny hands, but if your hand's bigger than mine, then use the end of a pair of scissors, or to pop it inside, long pair of scissors, or a ruler or something else that's long that you can just press, holding the bottom. You can just press the base to make sure that that's stuck down. Okay, and that is our little bag. Now, it depends whether you want to send it straight away, in which case I wouldn't fold the base. I would keep it nice and flat because that's going to stand up really strongly. Okay, but if you're going to store these for a while, then where we folded that top, where we pinched that piece in, do you remember we pinched that little piece in at the top there? What I'm going to suggest you do is you now fold down from there, okay, until you get to the bottom, and then hold on to the base until eventually you get to a point where the base won't go anymore, and you just pop the base up. And now you've got it packed just like you would buy them in the shop, so that they're nice and flat and easy to store. And then you just put your fingers in and pop out that bottom when you want to use it as a bag. Okay, and it still stands up beautifully strongly. So let's decorate it. Now I thought we'd decorate it by just adding some little details. And I thought I'd introduce you to this lovely, lovely new punch. I absolutely love these punches. These are edging punches. Here's the pattern inside, and it creates the most beautiful long piece of paper ribbon, which is all punched and looking fabulous. Look at that. Let me get it up nice and close for you. Isn't that great? Okay, so I'll show you how it works. Now then, for once, we're actually going to put it this way up, not so that we can see it at all, but what we're going to do is ensure that we have the edge right up onto the, butted up onto this guide. So make sure it's right in when you do your first punch. Okay, and I tend to punch the middle first. I don't know why, but that's how I do it, but it does mean it's well and truly up against there. So there's the first punch. Now, from here now, we've got a silvery pattern. If I bring it up to the camera really close, you see the silvery pattern? Now, what happens is I want to put this, can you see there? I want to put this so that I don't see this grey bit. I only see the silver. So I want to put that like that. Can you see? That's totally covered. Now I've got to transfer it down here, which means I'll probably have to just remove it. Okay, so that's nicely in place. I know it's butted up to here, and off I go. Okay, and that's how I create my ribbon. So along we go again. So just run it along a little bit further. So let's just make sure it's butted up to that. And that's got the end. Now I didn't quite get that square because I was looking, the camera's in the way, so I can't quite look over the top to check. But I promise you, it's really nice and easy to do. And if you can get your head over the top, which I can't quite here, you'll get a beautiful, beautiful piece of ribbon. Let's try it one more time, see if I can. Ooh, can't get it lined up at all now. Here we go. And as I say, remember I've got the camera in the way, and actually that one lined up beautifully. There you go. It was just that one I missed. So what we're aiming for, get rid of all the scraps, is a rather nice little piece of ribbon. Okay. And we're going to use this to tie around the top. So I don't need all of it, so I'll just cut the end off. Okay. We'll match it up. So we want it that size. Okay. So I'm just going to keep my eye on that little piece there. Okay. And I want that to just lap over, and I'm going to try and get the, oh, I've got a bit too much glue. There you go. I want to get that nicely lined up so you don't see where the join is so much. And in fact, we're going to cover the join in a second. Okay, so we're then going to get what is a sort of a rosette shape. So what I've already cut, I thought I'd cut it ready because it's so simple that you'll be able to do it. And you don't need to see me cutting little pieces of card. So it's a little strip of card with a notch cut in the top. it's a little piece of black satin ribbon with a notch cut in the top, and it's a little piece from one of the papers. So let me just show you which paper it is. Somewhere here on the side, here it is. On the opposite side of the grey is this lovely piece, and I've just cut a few of these little ribbon tags pieces out, just using scissors, and that makes a nice little, add a circle at the top, and one of the little buggies, which again is part of, here we go, one of the papers has a whole lot of little golf buggies, little golf carts. So I've just cut one out and popped it on, and I'm going to just add that to a little piece of backing, and I've cut two little squares about an inch across, roughly an inch across, but they're both the same size, that's what matters, and I've mounted them diagonally one to the other. Okay, so let's just add this to the centre of that, and we've got what looks almost like a little rosette, and I'm going to just add a little bit of glue to the back of that, and I'm going to glue it right over that join. Now I could have chosen to put the join at the very back maybe of my bag, but I think it's just nice because it covers over any of the problem joins. It also will help consolidate that join, because that means you've got two lots of glue attached to that join. Okay, so there's our, I suppose you might call it a belly band, but there's our band that is going to go over the top of the bag, and that's going to hold the bag nice and tight and square. Okay, and then I'm going to decide what to do with this. So here's my, I've cut this out, and I was going to add some of this underneath, but I'm not sure I am, because I'm not sure much of it's going to show. Shall I or shan't I? No, I think we might. Oh, that might be nice. Right, I'm making this up as I'm going along, sorry guys. I think I'm just going to cut that to there. So I'm just going to put my little finger on there and cut that at that point. And this is a little band taken because I wanted to just bring that in to match. Okay, so that's that. This I've taken from the let me just bring it across. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of bringing things across today. Everything seems to be walking off. This was the piece of paper that I showed you, had lots and lots of like little vignettes of trees and the fairway and a lady golfer and a male golfer, and they're fabulous for either colouring in or just leaving black and white, as I'm going to do here. And I've just mounted mine with a tiniest weeniest little black edge and a yellow, which is the oh, what's it called? My brain's gone. Oh, my brain has completely and utterly failed me. Let me just, it's the curry one, and I can't think what it's called. And I'm just going to go and grab hold of this, and it's crushed curry. I don't know where the crushed was going, but it definitely had skepped off and left my brain. So it's the crushed curry. And that's the colour that's the background that we've used for everything else. So there's our little vignette put together. I've got, I can't remember which is the one that fits now. Hang on, I've got lots of pieces here. Was that the one we cut? No, I don't think it was. Oh, I'm not sure. None of those seem to fit. Let's cut another one. There we go. Right, so we're going to put our little buggies that we cut out on here. And I'm just going to cut that corner because it's just sticking over. And then I'm going to mount this on as well. Even the glue's decided to stop on me today. Dear me. It's not my day today. I hope you're sticking with me. I'll try my best to continue to be professional despite the fact that the glue doesn't want to help. Let me just add a little piece of I have a little, I'll let you into a secret here. I have a little piece of paper clip that I unwrap, and I use it just when the nozzle gets a bit squished. So I just poke it in and out a few times, and that usually, oh, that does feel a bit empty actually. Oh, there we go. It usually just revives the glue for me. Here you go. Top tip. And I've decided I'm going to mount it halfway across and halfway over on that. I'm going to take the belly band off because I don't want to damage it, and I'm going to put my hand inside so I can really make sure that sticks down flat. Now, if you are wanting to, you can always decorate these things before this point. But I often find that as I'm decorating, I maybe want to make changes as I'm going along. So you can decorate it whilst it's flat, but I quite like doing it on the go. There you go. And there is our rather lovely little bag, even though I had a bit of a disaster of a time making it. So I hope you like that. It looks very neat and smart from the back with that little punched out topping. Okay, let's show you some ones that I've made earlier, rather more successfully than that. So here's one I made using the lovely paper we have at the moment with the celebration. And I've made it with a lovely tag with a cutout bee from the die cut set. And it's just lovely and big enough for me to pop a pair of earrings in. And I've made the earrings sort of match the background by putting them on a little octagonal piece of the crushed curry card, which I now remember is called crushed curry. Okay, and again I've made a little belly band just to hold that in place too, and that matches very neatly with the little belly band on here. I've also used those very pretty little flowers. Oops, there we go. Again, and aren't the details beautiful? Okay, so we have a tag that will go inside there, and I might be very kind and add some chocolates or something like that, maybe some Easter eggs. And the last one I wanted to show you is exactly the same, but instead of making it quite so tall, I've just cut a slice off. So instead of using a 12 by 12 piece of paper, I think I used an 8. I cut the top off, and I also didn't fold it over because actually the inside of this is feathers. At the back of the paper, you know, all of our papers are this lovely double-sided, and the feathers I think are absolutely fabulous. So I thought it would be nicer without the fold over, because then you see the inside even more. And all I've done is cut some birds out from the Free as a Bird and Bird Ballad Suite. So there you go. I've done rather a lot of blur today, but hopefully it made some sense. Please feel free to go to gillyhunt.com and do your shopping, but even more so, please subscribe. There is a button somewhere underneath here, and there is also a comments box. So I do love comments, as long as it's not, oh my goodness, you've made an awful rambly mess of that video. Okay, thanks guys, see you again, bye bye.